Have you ever noticed a quiet pressure you live with, but never quite name? That strange sense of obligation that sticks around after someone does you a small favor. That subtle tension that shows up when you're given something you didn't ask for. You probably tell yourself it's kindness. You tell yourself it would be rude not to give something back. But if you're honest, haven't there been moments where that pressure decided for you? You said yes when you were really undecided. You stayed longer than you wanted to. You agreed even though something in you was already tired, already done. And here's the important part. This isn't a character flaw. You're not weak. You're not spineless. Your mind is running an ancient program, automatic, invisible, powerful. So today, we're not trying to fix you. Nothing is wrong with you. We're just going to look at something closely, to see how giving and receiving can quietly bend your judgment, and why simple clarity, not resistance, is what finally loosens the grip. Stay with me. There's a name for what you're feeling, and once you hear it, you'll start noticing it everywhere. It's called reciprocity. At its simplest, it's the impulse to give back what you've been given. When someone offers you attention, a favor, a gift, something inside you quietly leans forward and says, "Okay, now I owe." And what's strange is how automatic it feels. You don't sit there and decide to feel that way. Your body just knows. That's because you didn't learn this from your parents, or school, or society. It's older than manners, older than culture, older than words. Long before comfort, reciprocity kept people alive. If you shared food today, you weren't being generous, you were being strategic. It meant someone might keep you alive tomorrow. That ancient wiring never left. It's still running. The problem is, the world changed, but the instinct didn't. Now it shows up in subtler ways. A small favor that carries weight, a gift that creates quiet pressure, an offer that doesn't feel free anymore once you accept it. And here's the part most people miss. The discomfort you feel isn't because you're selfish. It's not because you lack gratitude. It's because you're unclear about the debt, about what was freely given, and what was never actually agreed to. That confusion is where the pressure starts. Think about your own relationships for a moment. Have you ever had someone really show up for you during a hard time? They listened. They were there. It mattered. Then later, they asked for something you didn't feel fully comfortable giving. And yet, almost without thinking, you felt that familiar pull. I should. Not because you wanted to. Because saying no felt wrong. Or think about work. A co-worker helps you out once. Just a small favor. Nothing major. Weeks later, they need something back. Extra time, extra effort, extra responsibility. And somehow you're saying yes to work you never agreed to take on. At some point, you start noticing a pattern. You become the reliable one. The easy one. The one who always helps. Not because you consciously chose that role, but because expectations quietly formed around you, and later, when you replay certain moments, it's not anger you feel, it's regret. Regret over the yes that didn't feel true, the yes that came from obligation, not alignment, the yes you gave because saying no felt rude. Even socially, it sneaks in. An invitation turns into an expectation. One dinner becomes two. Two becomes routine, and suddenly you're showing up not because you're excited, but because it feels like you're supposed to. None of this feels dramatic. There's no confrontation, no explosion. That's exactly why it works. Here's the part most people misunderstand, and it changes everything once you see it. Your mind isn't trying to sabotage you. It's not trying to trap you or give your power away. It's trying to keep you safe. Specifically, socially safe. For most of human history, being excluded wasn't uncomfortable. It was dangerous. So your nervous system learned something very simple. Don't appear ungrateful. Don't rock the boat. Don't risk being cut off. That's why, the moment you receive something, your mind quietly reacts. It links receiving with owing, and owing with belonging, with safety. And honestly, that mistake makes sense. But here's where the illusion lives. A gift that's truly free does not create a debt. There is no moral invoice attached to generosity. What creates the pressure isn't the gift itself. It's the guilt you never stop to question. Real generosity doesn't hover. It doesn't wait. It doesn't collect later. And the moment repayment is expected, you're no longer dealing with a gift. You're dealing with leverage. Seeing this clearly does something important. It releases blame from the other person and from you. Because once you understand the mechanism, you stop fighting yourself, and you start choosing consciously. So what do you actually do with this, practically, in the moment? Nothing dramatic, just a few quiet checkpoints. First, ask yourself one simple question, not out loud, just internally. Did I ask for this? Or did I simply receive it? That question alone changes the tone. Because something you asked for carries choice. Something you merely received often carries pressure. Second, introduce a pause. Just a beat longer than usual. Before you agree, notice what your body is doing. Does your yes feel like relief? Or does it feel like weight? Relief usually means alignment. Pressure usually means obligation. And third, adopt a clearer perspective, one most people never articulate. Gratitude does not require compliance. You can appreciate something without paying for it with yourself. Appreciation does not mean self-betrayal. You don't owe access, time, or agreement just because someone was kind. This isn't a strategy. It's not a defense mechanism. It's a reminder that you're allowed to choose consciously even after you've received something. Over time, something subtle starts to change in you. Not overnight, not dramatically. Your judgment just gets sharper. You stop automatically treating kindness like a contract. You stop assuming politeness means honesty. You begin to notice when something sounds generous but feels conditional. And slowly, regret shows up less often. Not because life suddenly gets easier, but because your yes starts coming from a cleaner place. It's simpler, more intentional. And your no? It doesn't need speeches anymore. It doesn't need justification. It becomes quiet, calm, uncharged. What's interesting is how this affects your relationships. They become more honest, lighter, less tangled with unspoken expectations. There's a kind of grounded confidence that grows from this. Not loud, not defensive, just the steady knowing that I can receive something without being owned by it. I can give without secretly keeping score. And once that clicks, your choices start feeling like they're actually yours again. So here's the thing. You don't need to reject generosity. You don't need to become guarded. You don't need to harden yourself or build walls. That was never the point. All you really need is clarity. To see the difference between what was freely given and what you are freely choosing. When you see that difference, something softens. Obligation loosens its grip, and connection actually gets cleaner, not colder, because now you're showing up by choice, not out of guilt, not out of pressure. And when guilt stops driving the decision, peace doesn't need to be forced. It just shows up. That's enough to sit with for now.
Thanks for spending time in this. If this sparked a new way of thinking, hit like and subscribe to keep the ideas flowing. And don't forget, check the description for the links to the resources and the original books we used today. We'll see you in the next one.